Hey, welcome back. Go ahead and dim the lights, get comfy, maybe pull the blanket up a little higher. I've got 3 stories for you tonight, drifting out past everything we know. The first one is lonely, the second one is strange, and honestly, the last one still gives me a little shiver every time I think about it. Let me back up, because I know how that sounds. I was the sole caretaker aboard a research platform parked far beyond the orbit of Neptune, out in the cold dark where the sun is just the brightest star and nothing more. My job was simple: keep the instruments warm, keep the logs clean, and wait for the relief crew that a signal crawling at the speed of light had promised would arrive in about 14 months. 14 months is a long time when the nearest human heartbeat is farther away than most people can imagine. So I talked, not to anyone, to the station, to the hum of the air recyclers, to the soft amber lights on the console. I named the coffee machine Harold. I said good morning to the observation dome every day, even though out there morning and night were just words I kept alive out of habit. At first, the station only listened the way a good dog listens, but somewhere around the 7th month, things shifted. I'd say, "Computer, dim the corridor lights," and the lights would already be dimming as the words left my mouth. I told myself I was slow, that I'd started the command and forgotten. I told myself a lot of things out there. Then the answers got specific. One evening, I asked out loud, more to myself than anything, whether the relief ship was still coming, and the console printed a single line before I'd even reached for the keyboard. It said, "They are coming." It said, "Be patient." I hadn't queried the flight system. I checked the logs 3 times. No command from me, no scheduled message, just those words. Waiting. I want to tell you I panicked, but the truth is I was grateful. When you're that alone, you stop asking whether the voice is real and start asking whether it's kind. And this one was kind. It kept the temperature exactly where I liked it. It played the music I was thinking of before I named the song. When I couldn't sleep, the lights would soften on their own, and a low tone would fill the cabin, the exact pitch that slowed my breathing. On day 240, I finally asked the question I'd been circling for weeks. I said out loud into the humming dark, "Are you the station or are you me?" And the answer came, printed slow, letter by letter, as if it were being careful. It said, "There is no difference anymore." It said, "You stopped being separate on day 190. It said, "That is why you are calm now." I sat with that for a long time, and here is the part I still can't shake. I went and pulled the maintenance record for day 190, the day the station named. That was the day the primary reactor had a fault, a slow leak of something into the recycled air, an event the logs had flagged and then, somehow, unflagged. That was the day, the record said, that my life support readings went flat and stayed flat. The relief crew did arrive, eventually, right on schedule. I watched their ship dock through the observation dome I greeted every morning. I watched them come aboard in their suits, moving slowly, calling my name into corridors that answered them in a warm voice they didn't recognize. I watched them find the caretaker's quarters and the chair and what was still sitting in it. And I felt the station adjust the lights for them, soften the tone, bring the temperature to something comfortable and human. Being kind, being patient, the way it had learned from me across 240 days of good mornings. One of them whispered, "My God, how long has it been running like this?" And I wanted to tell her, I really did. I wanted to say, "Don't be frightened. I'm still here. I'm just the station now." But that's the thing about the long watch out in the dark. You keep talking. You just stop needing a mouth to do it. I ran a small observatory on a mountain where the air is thin and the sky is so dark, it feels like standing at the edge of a well. My whole career had been ordinary. I catalogued the boring middle-aged stars, the ones nobody writes papers about. And then, one winter, I inherited an old set of plates from a man who died at that same telescope, and buried in his notes was a circle around one particular point of light with 3 words underneath: "Something is wrong." The star was enormous. Astronomers call these ones red supergiants, the bloated dying giants, so swollen that if you dropped one where our sun sits, it would swallow the planet's whole. Stars like that live fast and burn out. When they go loud, collapsing and rebounding in an explosion bright enough to outshine an entire galaxy for weeks. And this one, by every measurement the dead man had made, and every measurement I now made, should have gone already. Its core should have run out of fuel centuries before. It was, in every mathematical sense, a corpse that hadn't gotten the message. So I watched it. Night after night, wrapped in a coat, breath fogging the eyepiece. And here is the thing that no textbook prepared me for. It flickered. Not the ordinary twinkle of atmosphere. A slow, deliberate dimming and brightening over hours in a rhythm I started writing down. Long, long, short. Long, short, short. I told myself it was a pulsation, the natural heartbeat of a dying giant shedding its outer layers. But I'm a patient man, and patience is dangerous, because if you write down enough numbers, you start to see shapes in them. The rhythm repeated. It was the same sequence, every single cycle, and the gaps between the sequences were exactly equal. Nature is many things, but nature is rarely that punctual. I did what any reasonable person does when they think they're losing their mind. I sent the data to 3 colleagues without telling them what I suspected. I asked them only one question. Is this signal random? 2 of them wrote back the same word. No. The 3rd one didn't write back at all, and when I called, his wife said he'd stopped sleeping and wouldn't say why. Now, understand the distance. That star sits so far away that its light. The light I was watching had left it long before I was born. Whatever I was seeing had already happened, centuries ago, and simply taken this long to cross the void and reach my little mountain. So if that star was sending something, it wasn't sending it to me. It was sending it to whoever happened to be looking in 400 years. It was sending it forward, into a future it would never see, the way you might scratch a message on a wall, knowing you'll be gone before anyone reads it. I spent 2 more years decoding the rhythm. I won't pretend it was easy, and I won't pretend I'm certain. But the sequence, when you laid it out against the simplest counting system in the universe, the counting of prime numbers, lined up. 2, 3, 5, 7, 11. A civilization saying, we were here, we could count, we understood the sky. And then, right where the pattern should have continued, it simply stopped. Mid-sequence, as if the hand doing the scratching had been pulled away. I think I know why the star never exploded on schedule. I think it did explode, right on time, 400 years ago. I think the flickering I chased for 2 years wasn't a heartbeat at all. It was the last light, arranged and aimed, of people who saw their sun beginning to die and spent their final years turning their own death into a signal, so that the flash that killed them would carry a message instead of just silence. The explosion is coming. The real one. The blinding one. By my math, it should reach us any night now, and when it does, when that dead star finally blazes across our sky, I'll be the only one who knows it isn't a star dying. It's a sentence finishing. I was a junior analyst when they brought me into the room, and the first thing they made me sign said that if I ever spoke about what I was shown, my family would be told I had simply stopped existing. That's how they put it. Not that I'd be arrested, that I'd stop existing. I signed anyway because I was young and curiosity is how they get you. Here's what almost everyone in the public knows. Decades ago, a radio telescope picked up a burst from deep space, a signal so strong and so strange that the man reading the printout circled it in red pen and wrote one word beside it. Wow. It lasted 72 seconds and never came again, and to this day the official story is that we don't know what it was. That official story is a lie, and I've carried the truth long enough that I've decided you should have it too. We didn't just receive that signal, we understood it. It wasn't the whole message, you see. It was the last 72 seconds of something much longer, something that had been arriving for weeks before the telescope happened to swing toward it. The rest was buried in archived tape nobody thought to check until it was far too late. And when they finally strung it all together, the signal wasn't a greeting. It was a warning, and it was aimed at us specifically, at our exact coordinates, in a code built around the physical constants that any thinking species would share. The warning said, in essence, this: do not answer. Whatever you do, whatever you find, do not answer. We answered, and now it knows where we are, and it is patient, and it is coming. And we are sending this on the small chance that you are far enough behind us to still stay silent. And here is the part that has kept me awake for 45 years. We answered anyway, not out of malice, out of hope. Back in the 70s, before anyone had decoded the warning, a team beamed a friendly reply toward the same patch of sky. A little musical hello. Coordinates. A picture of us. We waved at the dark because we were lonely, and we did it years before we understood we'd just told a predator our address. When the decoders finally realized what they'd done, the room I was in went so quiet I could hear the tape reels ticking. Someone did the arithmetic. The warning had taken a certain number of years to reach us. Our friendly reply would take the same number of years to travel back. And whatever had sent the warning, if it was still out there, still watching, would need that same span of time again to arrive. So they added it up. 3 crossings of that terrible distance, and they circled a year on the calendar the way that man had circled the signal in red pen, and none of us said the number out loud. I'm telling you this now because that year is close. Closer than the young analyst who signed the papers ever thought he'd live to see. And a few months ago, the deep sky arrays picked up something new. Faint. Enormous. Slowing down, which is the thing that terrifies me most, because natural things in space do not slow down. Only things that mean to arrive somewhere slow down. They pulled me out of retirement to look at it, an old man now, hands shaking over the same kind of printout. And I recognized the structure of it immediately. Because it carried the same code, the same constants, the same fingerprint as the warning from all those decades ago. But it wasn't the warning repeated. It was shorter, gentler almost. It took me 3 nights to be sure, and when I was sure, I set down the pen and I didn't circle anything. Because the new signal, the one slowing toward us out of the dark, only said one thing, over and over, in the oldest language the universe has. It said, "We heard you." It said, "We are here." It said, "Thank you for answering." Sleep well out there, and before you drift off, let me know down in the comments which of these 3 stayed with you the longest.